Michael, I have to ask.
Oh, jeez. Here we go.
Do you get why we don't like Peeta?
Peeta's a...
Now, listen, we can't set him off again. The last episode is like 40 minutes of Michael ranting about Peeta.
I did yell a bit, too.
Did.
I actually did yell. Normally, I keep my composure, but I did a little bit of yelling.
You got a little passionate about it.
Well, hold on. I'm tearing up.
It was just so sad.
It hit home.
That he didn't
It really
die.
hit home.
Yeah.
I wanted him dead.
Yeah, I think you were rooting for his death.
And then he survived for 2 more movies.
Yeah.
2 more movies.
He survived the whole time.
They even made him the villain, and
And
they
then-
still didn't fucking kill him.
And
Yeah,
he still ended up as the love. Spoilers, he ends up with Katniss.
They made him the villain, and then he also gets the girl,
Yeah.
which doesn't happen in films. It's not supposed to.
Yeah,
at least.
he's not supposed to get the hero's ending. It was supposed to be you, Gale.
Gail, what
actually-
happened?
Actually, to be honest, to be completely honest,
Are you about to agree with me?
no.
Okay.
Even if I am, I won't admit it.
Okay.
Neither one of them should have ended up with
Yes,
Katniss.
yeah,
Neither one of them. Those were
That's what Steve said.
those were terrible, terrible choices. I blame it on casting.
To quote Captain Holt, vindication.
We do movies here. It's
Hold
every
for the
film in the book.
thumbnail.
Hold for
Not,
the thumbnail. And
All
scene.
right.
what's the actor's name?
Which one?
Flickerman.
C is a Fleckerman?
Yeah. Did you call him? Was he gonna do the voiceover intro for us?
No, you know what? He's actually not getting back to me, so
Was he busy?
I'll just do it myself.
He must be
Oh.
working on a different project.
I'm going to channel my best Caesar Flickerman. Panem, welcome.
Start it over.
Sorry, hold on.
Start it over.
I don't know how to do a Tucci. Panem, welcome to the 76th annual whatever the hell we do with our free time. Of course, this is every film in the book, and we're coming at you live again from Panem. You can tell it's all on fire in the background from the last movie.
Put flames in post, please.
We've fully caught fire.
We have fully caught fire. I'm just waiting for my wings to grow in so I can become a Mockingjay. But this week we are bringing you a double episode.
Double feature.
We're bringing you both Mockingjay Part 1 and Part 2 because, let's be honest, Part 1 we could probably get through in about a minute and a half.
I would give it like 10 to 15
Yeah.
minutes of the podcast.
Yeah,
time.
we'll be fair. We'll give it about 10 to 15 minutes. And then, the second one is, I feel, the actual movie. So, I'm sure we'll spend more time on that one. So it's easier to just knock them out instead of being annoying and do
And
a
it's-
2-part.
It's not because the setup movie is bad.
Oh, no, not at all.
Yeah, don't get the wrong impression. It's not because it's bad. It's just a setup movie.
Yeah.
And it tells one story all the way through, and yeah,
It's a straight line to.
It's very
yeah.
straight line through. So
which
yeah.
is refreshing almost.
Yeah.
Watching it, I was like, this is where we're headed. This is great.
Yes. Yeah. Another thing I'm interested to talk about is hearing how you like the series as a whole and how everything kind of plays into each other. They do a lot of drawing lines between movies, obviously, and I think it's a really great movie series for the timeline that it was in, with like Twilight coming out and,
And
all those other
Right.
terrible movies.
and especially with the PG-13 rating, it's definitely. I don't know. How do you, it's got to be bad enough for you to care, but
Right.
also it can't be like too much so that
Yeah.
Yeah,
You
and
know.
I feel like they were definitely more upfront with the violence in this one. Like, I think they were not like saving it, but like there's people's legs getting blown off. There was a dude hung by like barbed wire.
Right,
like,
but it wasn't.
there's a lot of
It wasn't gratuitous.
Yeah,
though.
no.
Like, it was like
No blood
then
somehow.
I think they get you in a good mindset of this is now the war. They're not pulling pranks to get back at the Capitol. It's like, no, now's the time where sacrifices have to be made. And we expected it.
Right.
So it didn't seem as bad. Mm-hmm. But also, there wasn't a whole, like, there's not that much blood. And I feel like blood plays a huge role in ratings. It's like, well, there wasn't that much blood.
Yeah. Like, I definitely think, I really wish we got, like, an R-rated cut of these. Just so, like, because I know at the end of the first one, Peeta is supposed to, like, lose his leg. And then, like, throughout the series, like, Katniss is just getting more and more scarred up. Like, she doesn't look like Jennifer Lawrence by the end of it. She looks like Two-Face.
Which, which, I don't know. That on the one hand, it's a movie. Like, don't mark her face all up, right? Mm. But she takes some damage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but no
but it's
scars or
anything. It's never... I don't know, and of course, I'm sure somebody's gonna be like, "Well, they have special they were able to rub a salve on his wound and it healed." So, like, I get that.
Do you not remember the sparkle cream from the first one?
It was the yellow cream, and then there was a blue cream, and like one was for burns, and the other one was like to make paint look better. I don't know.
One was to disguise Peeta in the river.
Right? They sent him a paintbrush at one point.
And again, still, I mean, I know we talked about Peeta, but like they still almost made him more unbearable in this movie. Yeah. Like, even when they finally like make the switch and they're just like, holy shit, he's like pure villain now. Like, I really wanted Katniss to just like pop an arrow right through that fucker.
Even in the pure villain, as you put it, Steve, he's a shitty villain, right? It's like my little sister would be a better villain than Peeta. But even in that, they gave us glimpses of him like fighting it, like when the flashes on the screen, like that kind of stuff throughout. You're just like, well, they tell you actually in the setup, like they don't really go over what Peeta's doing much. That's probably why I like the movie.
Yeah, because he's just on the TV
now. Yeah, he was just on TV, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, I was gonna say it kind of plays into how a lot of the characters have this moral gray area vibe to them. Like Coin is a big one where you are kind of like, Coin is cool, and then you find out, oh, she's not cool, but like she has good ideas to like try to better the world. And so Peeta is kind of in a similar box of like, he's not really a villain, and he's not really like...
And they kind of do it with everybody. Like, even Gale at times, you're like, shut the hell up, Gale. Like, shut up.
And my God. Like, when they're having that conversation, and she's clearly awake 3 feet from them, and he's like, yeah, I guess when this is all over, the problem lies on her. She's going to have to pick one of us fucking stud mothers.
And of course, and this gets talked about all the time, but it's like, even in the middle of all that, like, the dudes are like, so which one of us gets to sleep with her?
Yeah.
Seriously.
So, like, which one of us won't be a virgin after this?
It's like survival takes a backseat to, like, maybe getting laid after I survive. It's like, we'll do the surviving better, and then there's only one option.
Yeah.
You think they were doing that in World War II? It's like, oh, geez, I hope my best gal's still waiting for me so I don't have to be a virgin.
Definitely.
Well... Probably not while they were getting shot. Afterwards.
Maybe like between, having lunch.
Yeah, in the lull in the trench. Like, they were like, oh.
I think this is where like the love triangles in these movies kind of fall off. When your like lives are on the line, don't worry about who she's going to end up with. Like maybe worry about who's going to survive.
And then they both... I mean, it is a love triangle, so the dudes are allowed to kiss too. But because they end up doing a lot for each other because of Katniss.
Yeah.
No.
But she doesn't even really like either of them, so she's
which was kind of weird because they could have gone full gay with Gale and Peeta.
Honestly, oh my God!
And it would have been it would have been totally fine.
I think people would have been happy with that one.
Yeah.
And I would have been happy.
And then at the end, it's just her holding like a doll.
It's like her living next door to Peeta and Gale, and she's just like, I can't believe I liked either one of them.
They just use her as the surrogate for their child.
Oh my God.
Hunger Games Part 5, the baby mama.
So at the top of Part 1, The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1.
Right. The titles just got longer and longer.
So they bring Katniss back to District 13.
Yeah.
Did you have any theories on like where she was being taken from the ship? Because I felt like when this movie came in, I wasn't expecting to see District 13.
Well, because the nerdy fella wasn't from District 13.
Right.
Oh, Beatty. I think his
Hamish.
name is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And whatever.
Yeah.
Hamish wasn't, and obviously,
Finnick.
none of them were from that district. So I kind of
Right.
figured it wasn't anywhere we'd seen before.
Yeah.
Because
The rebel base had to be somewhere.
it had to be somewhere. It's got to be in a district,
Mm-hmm.
and it also has to be hidden to some extent.
Right.
And I was glad they didn't do the hidden in plain sight.
Yeah.
I think that
kinda
would
dumb
because
shit.
they've just carpet bombed the shit out of everything. So it's
Right.
like, okay, maybe not in the woods. Like,
Yeah, because I like the line Boggs gives where he's like, yeah, we were the military district.
right.
So we learned to live underground and we were
that
fine with
one sentence validates their survival
Yes.
for the rest of the time.
And it covers the whole idea that they already have an arsenal stocked pile down here.
And then they actually walk you through the
Right.
warehouse. And
Yeah.
so little things like that was helpful for the story.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that was a good choice to go like underground with it, which is nice. And then later on, when they're getting attacked, they realize that the Capitol doesn't know
Mhm.
exactly where their shit is.
Yeah, this is where I kind of started seeing Coin like playing both sides of it, where she's
Yeah.
like, I'll let people die. I don't want to lose my weapons.
Right.
Because,
Yeah.
like, and, you know, again, if you haven't seen these, we're going to spoil everything. But when it gets to the end and she starts, like, sucking in power and she wants to be
Which
the
I
new
would be
Snow.
doing too.
Right. Like, all that power has to go to your head in some way. But, like, you can see, like, she was already making moves. Like, I'm going to need these weapons in case people are like,
Right.
no, we don't want you.
Right.
But, yeah, no, I really like, I just like when they're getting bombed and Katniss is like, Brim, you went back for the damn cat.
Right.
Oh my god, that is,
Because they don't do too much completely cut away from the seriousness to such a lighthearted thing. And I feel like that's something that I wasn't expecting that reference to come back. So when it did for that, 1.8 seconds, you were like, they got me. Yeah, they got me.
I just love-
They got me with that one.
I love when she's like, she's going back for the cat. She says as she's like sprinting out to her. And it's a lot of those moments that bring humor into the bad situations
Right.
that they do really well. And there's a couple of them, like when she is filming the Mockingjay propose.
Oh, yeah.
And it's her first time and they're trying to get her to say a line and he's like, you've just been in war.
I'm sorry for the outburst.
I was cracking up at that
the
part.
game maker's just like,
All right.
all right. So just a lot of people died,
Like,
and I just feel like you're not in the character.
like it just reminded me, I think it's Barney who does it, where he's just like, all right, so let's do it again, but better, and like more energy and like just better and
Just better.
And because of the, I don't know, overarching serious nature of this, it is nice to have a little bit of that where that's their respite. They all know they're filming a McDonald's commercial for the
Right.
rebellion. They all get it, and she's trying to like channel that. But the one thing with a couple of these, and I'm not calling them propos because that's stupid. I watched wrestling
Propo.
growing up, so they're cutting promos. So they're the first one's hilarious.
Yeah.
Then the second one, you see, and I don't really know that much about the back end of movies, but you see them kind of bait her into
right.
doing emotion. They're like, all right, if somebody says action, she's going to fuck it all up.
Yeah.
But if we just let her get mad,
Yeah.
then just gold comes out.
Well, and I do like that because I mean, she's just a normal girl.
I don't
from
want to
District
be
12.
the
Yeah.
Mockingjay.
Yeah.
I've said it 8 times.
Right. So I mean, like, if she went in there and like they're filming this first promo or propo or promo
Propaganda.
and she gets up there and she gives this huge impassioned speech right off the cuff. It's like, no, you're a normal person. You wouldn't be able to be that inspiring or that impassionate on the fucking drop of a dime.
What are you trying to say about me, Steve?
You wouldn't be the Mockingjay.
It has to be.
America's Next Top Mockingjay you wouldn't go to the next round.
That actually hurts quite a bit, Steve.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, she has to have her moment to shine, and it comes out with the passion of the moment. But it is cool to see them go around and visit all the districts that they do go to. And this is, I think, where in the first 2 movies we don't see a lot of the districts.
Right.
It's because they were kind of saving it for these moments.
Yeah.
So I think as a series it makes sense to save it.
Right. And I feel like in our first episode we were asking like, well, what do the other districts look like? And like in this first part we get District 5, we get District 7, you get 12. Well, 12's gone.
Well, the
Yeah.
remnants of 12. 13,
Right.
you get a lot of 13, which, I don't know, I feel like it was a little bit easier because it's all indoors and underground.
Yeah.
It's all
But
CGI.
The other... I will start yelling. The cool thing was the difference in production value between filming things on the Capitol's behest and filming things on behalf of the rebellion.
Right.
It was nice to see the AI robot getting the perfect angle with the perfect lighting, with the perfect sound the whole time, and then going to handheld camera run by dude that can't talk.
Yeah.
So he has to do what he's told to get the shot.
Yeah.
And so that I like, being a nerd, it's like, oh, well, that's neat to show the technology's different, but even almost more effective.
Yeah.
So
I like the
again,
whole
it was
guerrilla
like
style.
what the Capitol was doing was very showy, but not very effective because there was another uprising.
Right.
Now it took 75 years to happen, so they did some things very well. I'm still rooting for the Capitol. I don't give a shit. But it was kind of neat to see the people that want the rebellion the most were willing to be not as much of a part of the fight in order to show the fight.
Right.
And I thought that was pretty neat. Like, you rarely saw any of the camera operators do anything cool.
Yeah.
Which was nice because it's like they trust in the cause so much that they're willing to not be able to use a weapon efficiently in a war in order to show how much it means and to be able to get word back to the people.
And especially
that was kind of neat.
Especially because her whole camera crew came
Not to get
from
like
the
way
Capitol.
too deep, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Not to
no.
get too deep with it, but that was
But yeah,
refreshing.
it's a good point.
To see a guerrilla style, and then we didn't watch too much of it through that camera.
Right.
Was nice because the Capitol also has cameras, and they did some like corner building shots as they're running and things like that to
Yeah.
remind you that the Capitol's still watching. Some of that
Right.
stuff I found actually done very well, which is high praise coming from me.
Yeah. And I mean, again, but this first part is pretty much just her visiting the districts, and we're learning more about the plan from the rebel side, from the Capitol side. We're getting Snow every now and then checking in on District 13.
Now, have they hinted in the other movies that he was sick, or like that he was declining
there was
in health?
one, so we get it explained.
Yeah, in
then
this
with
one.
he was poisoning his enemies, and sometimes the antidotes don't work. But he does in the second movie, I think, after he gives a
he
speech,
drips something.
because he goes to take a drink, and when it comes back, you see blood go in.
Yeah.
But that's it
Yeah.
for context, and that's another question that gets answered in
Right.
the movie, which is sad to say. Like, as an audience member, we're not used to having our question. Like, I feel like so much we sit in here and we go, yeah, but it was weird how they did this, and then didn't touch on it at all.
Yeah.
And in this one, it was like, you saw this, it meant something. You saw this, it meant something. You
Right.
saw this, it meant something. This was clearly for comic relief.
Mhm.
This was clearly for comic relief. They're going to be lovey-dovey for 5 minutes. Get over it. And, like it was very much, this is the part of the story you're at.
Yeah,
Right.
and there are those moments like when Finnick is giving his speech that he explains that.
Right.
That it can literally be explained in a sentence. And they do that often.
Yeah, like how many times have I been like, if they just gave me one sentence,
Right.
I would have been totally fine. And like that speech that Phoenix gives tells you everything you need to know about Snow. It was 2 movies of build-up, and like you saw him being evil, but you never really saw him behind the scenes. Mm-hmm. So having Finnick being like, yeah, how do you think he kept his power? He's really good with poison, and he would drink it himself just to prove that he's not up to anything shady. But now it's backfiring on him.
Yeah.
So it was interesting seeing like this big imposing figure, like in that one scene, like his cheekbones are showing.
Which I thought that
crazy.
was because I didn't notice a decline from the in the second movie. There's like a sip, and then the next time you see him, he's like kicking the bucket, and you're just like, gee whiz, what? So I wouldn't have minded like like he's walking and takes like a misstep, or you know how they do that a lot in movies.
Yeah, like they'll stumble or something.
They're getting shown with a cane, or like excuse me, and then sits down to finish talking, like that sort of thing. But at the same time, it's they had those salves. They'd have had some good prop
getting
up
the good
for the
juju.
speech.
Yeah, I
he's
keep
getting the
forgetting
good
about
stuff.
sparkly yellow goo that cures everything.
I mean world leaders of all over take substances to be sharp.
Yeah.
When they need to be sharp.
Cocaine.
It's actually not. They actually do a little more science than
Oh, sorry,
than that.
medical cocaine.
Yeah. But like all kinds of world leaders will eat a certain diet or have their sleep regimented. They do all kinds of things to be on their game when they need it.
Now, the big thing in this film is the separation between Katniss and Peeta, and the whole time they're basically just plotting towards getting Peeta out of the Capitol.
Mm-hmm.
So, we're also getting the clips of Peeta on TV. He's clearly being tortured.
But the people hate him.
Yeah, they actually really show
Yeah.
Peeta's decline.
Well, and I think I pointed it out to you guys, but I mean, it's a stupid little detail, but every time he's shown on television, there's something like pointing into his neck. So every time he talks, it's like he's being tortured to say these things. So they're like giving
Some
you
symbolism.
Yeah. And like everything always has a point. Like in the first time he literally has like a diamond sticking into his neck.
Well, that's so he doesn't get all droopy on the
Yeah, so
you gotta hold his head
like
up.
you can tell he's like saying these things, but he's also being hurt to say these things.
Yeah.
And I didn't give a shit at all.
Yeah, no.
I didn't give a shit. Fuck that guy.
Until I see CGI Peeta at the end, then I'm like, he can't hurt you. He's not real.
He's not real.
So
He should have killed himself like a year ago.
Oh God, hell yeah. Nightlock pill, baby.
seriously, Katniss is all upset about Peeta, and the whole time
Wah.
when she is like crying over Peeta, I'm just like rolling my eyes.
We don't care at all. They could have wrote him out of the story
Yeah.
in the first movie, and I wouldn't have given a shit.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure it's like more detailed in the books, and I don't give a shit. I'm not gonna read them, but like they don't really make it seem like the Peeta Katniss thing, even in the first 2 movies, is a real thing.
Right.
Like, yeah, she gets along with him in times of high stress, but it's like that's because he's
Which
there.
is fine if you're 45 and lonely. You know what I mean? Oh,
Right.
I get along with this guy real well. I
Like,
guess I'll marry him.
Like, I feel like you could have put anybody in the Peeta position, and she would have fallen in love with him.
and they
'Cause
could have
it's-
picked somebody over 5'4" too.
Yeah, also that. So
Also,
we
he's short as fuck.
Man, we were talking about this before, but I still laugh every time they show them standing next to each other, especially at the very end of part 2,
Yeah.
when it seems like they're looking at each other eye to eye, and I can just imagine him standing on a little crate.
everything's got to be shot at an upward
Yeah.
angle so
Yeah.
they both seem the same. They're using like Hobbit techniques.
Also, like, it's not going to take me out of it if it's a short dude. There's
Yeah.
short dudes.
There's short people.
Yeah.
I'm
It's
sorry,
like-
Jennifer
it's like-
Lawrence is 6 foot tall, but he's allowed to be
Well,
short.
that's-
She's 5'9".
That's
without heels.
That's the thing. It's like there's short dudes and there's tall gals.
Yeah.
Just put them on fucking camera. Like,
Right. Who
Nobody gives a
cares?
shit.
But the other thing is they never make Peeta out to be the big strong man.
That's because
so
he's
it
a little
doesn't
tiny
matter.
bitch boy. That's why.
Well, that's why it doesn't matter if
It
he's
doesn't
short.
matter if he's
but
short.
Yeah, he's the definition of
Pansy.
soy boy.
Yeah.
It's just Hollywood keeping up their standards.
Well,
Yeah,
of
they're like, oh, the
has
man
to
can't
taller.
be shorter. It's like, fuck him. He's
They-
a pussy the
they think-
entire movie. Let him be short.
They think nobody's going to go see the movie. Meanwhile, Tom Cruise has been famous for 40 years.
Yeah, dude's
like-
5'3".
It's like it doesn't matter.
Although it would be hilarious if at the end of the movie, when he's like planting the primroses and he stands up and he goes, I'm planting primrose, and she has to like bend down to kiss him.
Thank you.
you.
Oh my god. It's like I would have just loved I'm planting primroses, and she's like, I'm still not gonna suck your dick.
It's too low. I can't. How can I?
Yeah, I can't.
She's
I
going
don't
to
wanna,
lay
like-
down to look at the flowers. He's on his knees and she just lays down like, is this what you wanted, Peeta? Does
Like,
this
wow,
make you feel
Peeta.
big?
You did a good job, Peeta.
So also with the love triangle, Gail is on the rescue mission to go get Peeta.
Yeah, I love
For
that they
Katniss.
finally gave him a fucking role
Yeah.
in these movies.
Yeah, and I still didn't give a shit, which is funny. Like, I still didn't care about Gail at all.
Like the best part of these movies are not the love triangle stuff. That's the part that I like shitting on.
Yeah.
I enjoy the rebellion war stuff a lot more than I enjoy the love triangle.
Right.
But yeah, obviously Gale is in the mission to go save Peeta, and they are overriding the Capitol's electricity because some of the rebels went and blew up a dam.
Yeah,
Yup.
District 5 suicide
Metal.
bombed the band. The
Absolutely metal.
Dam. So cool.
And I also don't think District 13 knew that was going to happen, but they jumped on their opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.
Because, like, during the whole, like, war setup, we're getting flashbacks between the districts, but you're not really getting intercommunications
Well,
between
and
the
they
districts.
made it
Yeah.
a point to say that communication between the districts
Right.
is really hard.
Yeah.
But in war, when space is given, space is taken.
Right.
That's just how that works.
But, like,
Right.
this is like, after they blow up the dam, like, that's when you start seeing President Snow, like, he looks extra sickly in this scene, and, you know, he gives the whole, like, moves and counter moves kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Mhm.
But yeah, like this leads them into the Capitol, and even when the power comes back on, and like Katniss is talking to Snow, and he's just like, "Do you think I don't know about your friends inside the tribute
Right.
center?"
Yeah, and then she starts freaking out, which it's like
Oh my god!
exactly that.
it was pretty much that. But
Yeah, I'm a professional.
It is nice that everything Snow says happens.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
He says
He
he's
sh-
gonna blow up District 12. He does it.
Yeah, and that's kind of what you want in a president where there's crazy shit going on. Is like what he says, even though when he wasn't in power anymore, what he says fucking happened.
Like
Yeah.
I feel like if they put James Bond in this movie, it wouldn't skip an inch. Like he's the perfect Bond villain where
Yep.
he's just like, "Oh yes, like I killed people for a reason because it's like I don't kill because it's like distasteful.
He's
I
like, "None of
kill
this is
for
fun.
specific reasons."
It's all for
Yeah.
a purpose because I'm the greatest to ever do it.
right.
Yeah,
What-
he's very methodical and thinks everything out. And in this film, it feels like the Capitol is ahead, and it feels
Yes.
like they are taking a little bit of a lead, and the rebels are always in the background until we get to that rescue mission where
And
they
it's a
all
v-
get out.
It's and it's a little fishy,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but even that gets explained. It's like, well, I let you do that.
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
Well, all right. This
and
is,
then we find out why is
Right.
because
this
they,
is my one complaint about this scene, and it's the only time I think President Snow is like cheesy, because he goes when he's talking to Katniss, like, sometimes the things we love the most end up destroying us, and I want you to remember I told you that. And then he says, "Do you think I don't know your friends are in the tribute center?" So like right then and there, I'm like, so he wants them to rescue Peeta.
Yeah.
I'm like, how anybody didn't hear that and be like, maybe Peeta's gonna be a little fucked up when we get him, and especially that they walked out of the Capitol with no resistance.
yeah. But
and Gale
I
even
feel like you can get that on a second or third watch, maybe not the first one.
Yeah, but I mean, at the same time, we have seen these movies a couple times.
Yeah, I only saw it once.
Like,
and
did
I was
that
like,
line stand out to you at
not
all?
At all? Not at all.
Okay.
And he says important shit the whole time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean I was paying attention.
Yeah, I think it's also because, like, subconsciously, like, oh, Peeta's gonna attack Katniss, like, and it makes sense.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
But also, if you think of it it's a PG-13 movie, it's a little more for teens, maybe people who don't watch movies all the time, like Michael calling all the shots while we're watching Hunger Games. Yeah, because we watch a lot of movies. We can kind of assume what's going to happen.
We kind of know how stories are told.
But that just happened to be like the one line, like I guess upon multiple viewings.
You're like, oh, that sticks out
just like,
way more.
I'm like, that is so on the nose for President Snow that I'm like,
because
dude.
a lot of it was not. Well, it was very cloaked.
yes,
Like what he said happened, but he didn't give it away. You know, it's like
Right.
we can see the reasoning behind it. We can see how he knew. But it was nice that even while he was losing, he was still playing the game better than everybody else.
right.
Yeah. And so they release Peeta. Katniss goes to see Peeta, and Peeta goes, I want you to die.
CGI Peeta got really strong.
Yeah.
which was a little bit not really, but because he's so gaunt and looks like shit, which is fine.
Yeah,
He terrible.
they
But
malnourished him and tortured him in the
if
Capitol.
the
like,
next
makes
time
sense.
you saw him, he looked fine,
mm-hmm.
he wouldn't have tried to kill Katniss.
right,
But they kept him, like, everybody that took some damage and was either saved or came back
right.
was perfectly fine in the next scene.
Actually,
But he's the only one that, like President Snow, we know how the story ends. He declined the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody else, if something happened, they were immediately fine afterwards. And Peeta wasn't in the next scene. I was like, oh, okay. Well, this is kind of weird. He still looks gaunt. Like, didn't they fucking feed him when they got back? Like,
he just immediately
and then when he starts doing the crazy stuff, you're like, I get it now. Okay,
Yeah.
okay. And
Yeah,
then he stayed that way until he was fixed.
Yeah, they really make the visual connection
Yeah.
between his being tortured and in that mindset where he was brainwashed,
what
and
they-
then him being normal.
right.
The whatever jacket venom.
Oh, the tracker jacket.
Tracker Jacker.
Yeah, makes you hallucinate. Makes you see Caesar Flickerman at the foot of your bed.
And he's flicking your toes.
He's just like, hey, wake up. We got to talk about the Hunger Games.
If I'm hallucinating Caesar Flickerman, I'm waking up with a mess. I'm waking up with a mess.
I will need new sheets.
But I think this brings us from part 1 into part 2.
We did. That was good
Yeah,
for
good
the
job, good
setup
job.
movie.
Yeah, there you
that
go.
wasn't too bad. All right, part 2. Everybody dies.
All right, we'll see you guys next
see you
week.
guys next time.
Yeah, I mean,
No.
it's gotta what happened.
Like, I know I said in Catching Fire that one's my favorite. This is a close second of the series. Like, I think Catching Fire is a great in-between movie that bridges the first one to this ending, and then I think this one is a great conclusion for this series.
Yeah, and not to cut you off, I was going to say Michael made a comment when we started part 2 that I'm pretty sure you said, oh, it just starts, huh? Because we're just immediately in the hospital room. She is, Katniss is recovering from her strangle
I want to try it.
wound.
Oh, this is awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. It's the worst the worst acting on the planet. So bad. I hated it so much.
I mean, I think she did a good job.
I thought it was awful.
You could definitely, no, I think she did a great job in acting like she had bruised vocal cords.
You know what they should have done? Bruised her fucking vocal.
Peeta should have legitimately strangled her.
That's also one thing that they probably should have carried a little longer is her raspy voice. It would
Right.
take a lot longer for
They
your voice
had
to heal.
that was the purple salve.
Yeah. They
Oh,
just
yeah,
rub it
she
up
rubbed the
her throat.
cream on her
Yeah,
neck.
everything's fine. All right, one thing I wanted to say before I was rudely interrupted was if they made the visiting all the districts on the way to the Capitol like the third movie,
Mm-hmm.
that would have been cool.
Mm.
Oh, like the Victor's tour. Yeah, because we
if
were
they
talking
made the
about that
Victor's
last
tour
one.
like this third movie,
Yeah.
they could have made 6.
Yeah,
Stretch it out a little
Yeah,
more.
and we brought that up last time, and I agreed. I thought Catching Fire, if they did a part 1 and part 2, like I would never want more movies because it's already a long
But
enough series.
The way they did the third one
Yeah.
could have justified the third one being the victors. You
Yeah,
know,
like-
the 1.5
Like,
or whatever.
If they
you know what I mean?
almost split the
It's like,
second
just
one,
like Jackass, 1.5.
well, like if they almost split the second one to be them on the Victor's Tour and then them getting picked for the Hunger Games again, and then the second one is the Hunger Games, them being released, and this first part of them getting into
Now,
District 13.
of course, this is all hindsight, and
Yeah, I mean-
where do you drag the sliders for the story?
Right.
to
Right,
be
exactly.
chopped up in?
And they were given 4 movies, so they're going to make
Right,
4 movies.
Right. But I definitely feel like if they gave more to that second one and we kind of get a better idea of like the landscape and the districts and like how they all relate to the capital. Because like in this second part, District 2 is the one that's still in cahoots with the capital. So it would have been cool to like see more of that.
Now this is PG-13 in a a different genre, but this is one of the ones where, and I know you were asking like overall thoughts of the series, but this is one where it's very rare where the first movie's good, the second movie is arguably better,
Arguably.
and then they don't fuck it to pieces.
Yeah.
They don't.
They don't.
Keep it,
They
it
didn't
keeps
ruin
going.
it. And I think because of the, I don't know, not childish nature, but kind of the bright and cheery nature of some of the aspects of these films, I think I was expecting them to fuck it up, and they didn't.
Yeah, they really
Because
stuck the landing.
there's only a few, like and even some people say like the Matrix went downhill, and those people all need to die. But that's
I'm in that boat.
yeah, I know, die.
Or the Star Wars.
The Star
Yeah,
Wars
the Star
New
Wars
Star
dropped
Wars
off a
trilogy.
cliff.
Right.
All of the horror movies ever.
Every horror movie.
Every
Are you
horror
saying The
series.
Nun 2 wasn't better?
I'm
Than
saying
The Nun
The Nun
one.
2 was hot garbage compared to lukewarm
Are you
garbage.
saying they shouldn't have made 4 Annabelle movies?
Oh my God.
There was 4. There is 4.
I think there's fucking
There
4
was.
of those.
There was.
There's
Like
a
I already
lot.
blocked it out of my mind. There are 4 Annabelle movies. That's nuts.
But yeah, I mean, I am always just a big fan of this movie or these movies, the whole series. And watching it as a teen, I was always a big fan. But then coming back and watching it again as a full-grown adult, I still really enjoy them.
Well, and I do want to make this point that I feel like you could stop this series at any point. You could watch the first one and be like, that was good. I don't want to continue. If you want to continue, the second one opens up the world even more. But it's not one of those series where you need the whole scope to think it's good. Because like
Right.
the first one's good
Right.
on its own. Each
That's
movie
a
is
good
good on
point.
its own
That's
merit.
a good point.
Yeah.
Standalone, they all do
Right.
well. They count as movies.
Because like
Yeah.
how many times have we gotten like a trilogy where it's like the second one is good, but it doesn't stand on its own because all it does is make you go, well, what the fuck happens next?
Right.
Yeah. I think the only one that doesn't stand on its own is part 1, just because it is.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to have the setup of the ones before it, and it's kind of leading into the next. But even part 2 on its own, like, again, it's obviously helpful to have the knowledge, but I think part 2 is like the most entertaining, from the action to the story to the conclusion of
Right.
the whole series.
And it was the
yeah.
only one without a Hunger Game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey,
That-
Finnick does say it's the 76 Hunger
He
Games.
says, "Welcome to the
No.
76."
walking into the
Okay.
Capitol.
Yeah.
He was
so
just buying time. He was just
Basically.
buying time.
But yeah, they reintroduce us to some of the characters, like Annie, and
Yeah.
her and Finnick get married, and
yeah,
then,
and then Joanna comes
Joanna
back.
comes back.
It's an introduction to the characters again through character development, not hi, my name's Finnick and I'm in the
Right.
movie again. I hate like where they
Remember
just
me,
like,
Victor of the 50th
he
Hunger
likes
Games.
brown leather pants and eats chicken wings exclusively on Saturdays. It's like, no, they, instead of just saying, here's the character again, they just show what the character's doing at this point,
Right.
which is kind of refreshing for character development because a lot of character development is just explaining what you saw in the movie before.
Exactly.
Right. And
or justifying what you saw.
Right.
Yeah, I've always loved Finnick, and really only because I've seen the whole series. When you watch Catching Fire, you kind of think Finnick is an asshole.
Yeah.
And I'm always just like,
And then
just
it completely 180s and you're like, you know what? That
He's a
guy's not
good
half
guy.
bad.
Yeah, like, he may have grown up with a little more privilege and he's like, has a little more wealth or whatever because he's what, District 2?
He's 4. District 4.
Well, he's a little more up there. He seems like he's been in the Capitol, and that's kind of
right
where he gets some of his arrogance, but he turns it around.
He had to survive because he was getting that ass sold.
Well, yeah, and like that's when you realize you're just like, holy fuck, Finnick's been through some shit, and he's still got that like cocky, pretty boy kind of like attitude.
Right.
So I'm like, he's definitely hiding some fucking pain through his like snarky sarcasm.
Welcome to my whole personality, Steve.
But that's what you get with the character development, and you see like him with Annie, and you see him make a sacrifice
and
for
you're
the group.
happy for the asshole, and you're genuinely happy for the asshole, and you're not thinking, oh, what has this gal got herself into with this guy?
Right.
Because that happens a lot where you're just like, she's marrying him?
Right.
What the hell? Did she not watch the first movie? He was a prick.
And then they keep Joanna's like snarkiness, and she plays a little bit of a role, but not too much, but just enough where it leads the story on.
When she's in it, she's effective and consistent.
Yeah.
Because she was always kind of a loose cannon, and then you start to see her kind of teeter on the edge of like just so fed up, I don't give a fuck, everything needs to die.
Right.
But she kind of reels it back in when you know, because Katniss does a few things. She's like, all right, which is what she had to do to win her over the first time.
Right.
Yeah, that was pretty neat.
But I do like her intro scene where she walks into Katniss's room and she's like, man, they really won't let you die. Anyway, I'm gonna take your morphine now.
Also, she handled being captive in the Capitol way better than Peeta.
Yeah.
All I'm saying.
Well, they didn't hijack her mind.
I guess so.
They just regular
Steve,
tortured her.
You're defending Peeta.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, no, Peeta's a...
But also, Katniss taking those bullets, like, even if you're wearing a bulletproof vest, that was, like, not too far of a range. She got
two
real
shots,
bruised.
2 shots at 8 meters, even with a 9mm, you're breaking all of your ribs.
It's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness!
But
like the bruising
but
that they show.
I think
purple salve, and you're good.
Yeah, but I feel like of all those speeches, that one is the one that like stands out the most. Of like when she gives these like impassioned anger speeches, and she's like, "Turn your weapons to the Capitol. Turn your weapons to Snow." And I was like, "Holy fuck! This is like I feel like the first time she's really, really stepping into the Mockingjay.
Put the foot on the gas a little bit.
Yeah, and
like,
she says, "I'm done being one of his slaves that kills for him."
And like the fact that she's goading this guy on, like, go ahead, shoot me.
Yeah.
Do Snow a favor. Continue to live in like poverty and slavery. Like, do whatever you want. Like, because I don't give a shit anymore. Like, I don't want to keep killing innocent people just because you want to side with the enemy.
One complaint with this scene.
Yeah.
As soon as somebody fires their weapon,
everybody,
all of those people die. All of those people get shot. There's no gunshot goes off 10 feet from you, and then you can hear a woman yell, "Don't shoot anymore." No, your ears are ringing. You're killing everything. But
that one guy does get shot by like 17 guards.
And they do cut away, so you don't really see what like the conclusion of that moment is.
Yeah.
And it's one of those moments they cut to Snow.
In my head, I was just like, ooh, that's a lot of civilian deaths.
That's a lot of deaths.
That's a lot of civilian deaths.
I'm sure there were a lot of deaths that they cut away
from. But it was fine. I'm still rooting for the Capitol.
But this is where I like that Snow is having that meeting with all of his generals, and he's like, you fuckface.
This was
what are we celebrating?
Cool because this is where he's not. He kind of lifts the mask a little bit and was like, "You fucked up. You're gonna pay for it. Everybody knows what's about to happen, but they're all still gonna have to watch.
Right.
And we're gonna watch you realize it at a dinner table.
Yeah.
Which is just killing somebody at the dinner table is just the most badass way to do murder ever.
Crazy.
It's just like
I would have loved it more if he took a scene out of like one of those mob movies where he just starts beating a dude's head in with a
Capone?
baseball bat.
It's literally Capone.
The De Niro scene.
Yeah.
And everyone's just like sipping their champagne.
Yeah, and they're all like, well, he's not doing it to me.
and then there's one guy just like, all right, dinner and a show.
Hey.
All right, because he's just the accountant. He's like, my books are in order. Like,
I'm good.
Like,
I'm
I
doing
love
my job.
I love how this scene ends with Snow just being like, so what are we celebrating? A glorious era coming to its bitter end. And I'm like, yes, that is the
Yep.
greatest, like, because even he doesn't want,
He's played the game out.
yes,
He's already played the game out, Steve.
like he understands, like, especially when he's like, the rebels will be here any day. They'll be on our doorstep. But you know what? We're gonna make it a spectacle. Like, we're gonna put these pods, and our game makers are gonna just torture these people, and we're gonna show the Capitol,
Which
like,
was
these horrible murders.
unnecessary,
Yeah,
but also
expected.
Expected.
I feel
It's
like
still
that's
kinda
the sore
cool.
loser in him being
It was.
like,
It was still. Well, not really the sore loser. There's moves and counter moves, Steve. That
No.
was
Yeah.
the counter move.
I more say that like because he knows it's over, but he's like, all right, if we're gonna go down, we're gonna go down and take as many of you fuckers as we can.
I think they would have been okay if they didn't blow up all those kids.
Yeah.
That I think that was kind of the tipping point.
I think that was the tipping point, and I think Snow up until that point was still convinced that he could win, and I think, he's trying all these different tactics the whole time. He's trying the fear, he's trying the bargaining with people, and then it comes down to like, listen, they're just trying to take our way of life, and he's trying to reason with the Capitol that way.
Right.
Now, realistically, and forgive me for doing this, guys, the three people that know how to shoot a rifle over 500 yards, and the movie ends with them entering the Capitol.
Well,
That's the one. They didn't put boots on the ground to counteract them.
right.
They let them into the Capitol to bring Peeta out. They let them into the Capitol because they had these pods. It's
Right.
like two people outsmarted you in the Hunger Games, and you're going to use the Hunger Games to try to kill them all, but they've already proven that people survive the Hunger Games. That's like my only, like, the math didn't math.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But at the
that's a
same
good
time,
point.
it's like, well, you can't just shoot Katniss in the face when she walks out in the alleyway that goes for a mile to the Capitol. It's like they didn't have some guy on arrest at every street just holding their breath, waiting for them to cross the street, and then just, okay, the movie's over. Bang.
Yeah.
But Michael, they had hoods on. They're impossible to
That's
see.
one thing I was hoping.
Incognito mode.
Now, they do get to the tiger lady. Which
Yeah, Tigress.
That was pretty cool. They
Yeah.
had a little help from the inside.
Yeah.
It gave you... Go ahead.
Tigress, though, oh my God, was like totally wasted in her talents, because instead of doing makeup that would have made them blend in with the Capitol, even if they just did the clown makeup that
Yeah.
they do,
Fucking
like
put the sharp
white,
eyebrows on.
Preach.
yes, then they would have blended so much better. Like,
Yeah.
you'd think people wouldn't be allowed to wear makeup because they have to screen you, but there were people wearing makeup, and it was like the white cast with the crazy eyeshadow. It would have made them blend in more.
It's literally the Superman conundrum. It's like putting glasses on and a hat doesn't make you look like a different person. You're still you. People would be able to be like, oh, Katniss Everdeen is right in the middle of fucking everything.
Except for
Yeah.
that one thing I saw where Henry Cavill put on glasses and changed his hair and went in Times Square and nobody recognized him. But I definitely that would have been neat. But again, they kind of kept everybody's main character's face the same.
Yeah.
So
It has to be recognizable
Yeah, it's
for
gotta-
people in the audience.
And again,
yeah,
even on that
it's like
point,
center fucking frame isn't good enough.
even on that point, like fucking Peeta was shown to be a good camouflager. Can we not use Peeta at all? If you're insistent on making him live until the end, make
Right.
him useful.
he hasn't been useful this whole goddamn time.
They
Even
should've-
through the whole getting into the Capitol, he wasn't useful.
Yeah, and at the end, instead of playing with his kid, he should have been like painting or something.
Anything to give him something to latch onto.
Yeah.
Because right now, like at the end of this series, I'm like, he's a piece of shit all the way up until the end, and then he's like, yeah, but I planted you some flowers. Isn't that great?
Yeah. And that wins her over. It's like, I've murdered for you.
Right.
And these flowers have the same name as your sister.
I'm like, he
Your
tried to
sister.
kill you twice. If seeing this man doesn't dry up your vagina, I don't know what else will. Like, where does the fucking attraction come in? So you got to give him something. Like, oh, he painted me a picture of Primrose, and like, oh, that's cool. He used his art
He planted
abilities.
them.
Yeah, but
He's a planter.
but
He's a gardener now.
Yeah,
he's
next
he
to his
went from baker
next
to
to his
gardener.
other profession, baker.
Or painter. But I think Peeta is again useless getting through the Capitol. They bring him into the squad to do this mission, and just the whole time he's so useless, and he's handcuffed.
Then he's
most
trying
of
to
it.
murder. I'm not me. Put the handcuffs back on.
Yeah,
Shut
and
the
you
fuck
think
up.
that he's better at one point, and then that's when all the tar is coming in when they set
Yeah.
off the trap,
Yeah.
and he gets like, this is my chance to murder Katniss. Like, come on.
Yeah,
that
he
was
murders
kinda-
one of their squad mates, and he
Yeah.
almost kills Katniss.
He
So I'm like,
pushed him into the goop.
right then and
Yeah.
there, you fucking put a bullet in his head and say, oops, the Capitol got
Cool.
him. Oh, there's a sniper somewhere.
And
Oh, no.
It would be one thing, but she kind of could have the pick of the litter.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
Anybody.
And you pick the baker with small hands.
Yeah.
Okay, that's not good genetics
yeah.
passing down, but whatever.
So there are several crazy deaths, as we mentioned before, kind of starting around when they're in the Capitol here,
Yeah.
and the one guy gets pushed in the tar. He gets strung up on barbed wire. Then we have the sisters that
Yeah.
one of them gets shot.
Yeah, she gets caught in the explosion that kills Boggs, and then
Yes.
they blow her up with a
And
with a rocket.
that's the
Right.
propaganda they use to say, "Oh, we killed the Mockingjay."
Right.
Yeah.
It's like, no, we were on camera
Clearly.
too,
Show me a goddamn body.
right?
So, and that's a point that this is another thing they love to explain with one sentence. When they say, oh, well, the Capitol's cameras got covered by the tar, so we're actually good. We can walk to another building
Right.
and they won't see us. Do you think they don't have cameras up on the 20th floor?
But they had them in the sewer, but not more cameras.
Right? You think they would
More
have
than-
cameras
yeah.
literally everywhere.
And it,
Yeah.
yeah,
on
it wor-
every building.
it works for the story. The whole sewer run
Mm-hmm.
to get to the Capitol, that's cool and all. It's only to kill more
Yeah.
important characters so that the goal means something.
Yeah, we
more.
have to
Right.
start thinning the herd so there are some stakes.
We can't have
Right.
9 people on camera at the end of
Right.
the movie.
Yeah.
We
But
need 3.
I do appreciate that because there are movies where they're so scared to kill anybody. They're so scared to
yeah, and
take
everybody
out somebody's
survived.
favorite
Really,
character.
Yeah.
everybody
Yeah.
survived. Are
Like-
you sure?
Like, it makes sense. This is a war scenario and you're fighting genetically mutated things.
Yeah.
Like, somebody's going to die.
And like
Finnick.
Yeah.
Finnick,
Mm.
Like, they're
Finnick
not...
he went balls to the wall.
Yeah,
for a bit.
Dude went out like a badass, but like
Yeah.
it wasn't there wasn't another scene where after that happened, he comes crawling out of the sewer and he's like, "Well, that happened. Anyway,
Yeah,
let's
right.
go get snow."
And he's bleeding a little bit.
Yeah,
You're
he's got like
"Oh, one of
a
them
he's got like a
scratched me."
scratch on his cheek, and
But already applying the salve to it.
yeah,
You know.
he's
No.
like, "Oh, that happened."
No one gets a fake out death. No one comes back from the dead.
Right.
Which is great.
Which is great.
I
That
really
happens
appreciate
too
that.
much.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause I'm
Kill him dead.
Yeah, I'm so tired of like the character is about to die and then the ex machina comes in and saves them from out of nowhere and it's like, "Oh man, you gotta keep your head on a swivel," and
Say
then they
some
both get
quip,
out.
and then they fly away, and you're like,
Yeah.
ugh, disgusting.
One of my favorite things about this whole war thing is the kind of insider plan that Katniss has to assassinate Snow,
Right.
and how she just kind of put this on herself, and then she gets put into this mission, and then when Boggs dies, she gets the
Oh, the hollow
the
thing.
hollow assigned to her. And just that whole plot line like is really
Yep.
cool to see, just like little things happening.
And then the people back it up with just a couple sentences. It's like,
Yeah.
well, Boggs believed in you, so do we.
Right.
Which
And
was,
it-
and
they
then
give it a
and then
reason.
you were good. You were good
Yeah.
for the rest of the movie. You're like, all right, fuck it, we're
Yeah.
in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like if the movie takes a minute to explain something to you with that stupid little dialogue, even if it's just small, like, oh man, I'm allergic to bread, and then Peeta's like, I tried to kill you with bread earlier. But like,
Right.
it just helps us to stop being like, why the hell are they doing that? Well,
Yeah.
why the hell didn't they finish that? Like, why the hell did they choose to do that?
And if you do ever ask that question, it usually comes up with an answer later.
Right.
Which technically is Steve's favorite getting spoon-fed story. So shocker on
Oh my
that.
God.
But it doesn't feel,
Like you're being
Spoon-fed.
spoon-fed. Yes.
which is I feel like
It's hard to
they
do.
didn't do that on purpose.
Right.
They must have just been like an amalgamation of things that some of it you're like, oh, I wonder what's gonna happen in 15 minutes. And then some of it's like, oh, I didn't notice that before. So it's like some of it hit really well and some of it missed a little bit, but nothing missed completely.
Right.
The only thing that missed completely was they should have picked a better love triangle. that missed a little bit because Gail's kind of a pussy,
But so we're kind of into this last act of the movie that this is one of my favorite wraps on a series ever, because they don't leave us after the war and they don't leave us after the immediate conclusion of the war. They bring us all the way around to like every character's conclusion.
Yep.
And it's not like I hate it when they do this in movies where like it cuts to black and then it's like stills with Katniss Everdeen to this day lives
To
in
this day,
District
yeah.
12.
Right.
Like,
Which they do with a lot of nonfiction where they're
right.
like, they're like these ladies from NASA that did the math
Like,
were
where
alive.
are they now?
They were alive for longer afterwards. It's like,
Right.
okay, I get it.
But they actually show us
Yeah.
Yeah.
everything. So
And it's stuff we
Yeah.
want to see.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, they make it worth it.
Except for her ending up with Peeta, but that's besides the
Yeah.
point.
Yeah, there's nothing we can do about that.
Is what it is. So yeah, start us off, Michael.
Well, hold on. I want to start it off with this. I know you called it while we watched it,
Yeah.
but did you actually think she was going to shoot coin when it came
Yes,
down to
that's
this
why
decision?
I said during the scene she's gonna shoot coin.
yeah. You said it moments before it happened.
Yeah.
You didn't call it like way ahead of
No,
time.
not way ahead, but I was just like, again, if Coin would have learned from, the first movie or whatever, she shot that arrow into the elite.
Right.
This was her finally connecting a shot to the elite.
Right.
Right.
It's just all symbolism, Steve.
It's a lot of
it's a
symbolism.
lot of
No.
stuff going on, but that I saw that coming, but not until just moments before, and I'm
Right.
like, she's gonna shoot that bitch.
Yeah.
And then she did, and I was like, bitch,
Honestly,
bitch got shot.
That
and
is
then
my
the
favorite
crowd
reaction.
just tears apart Snow.
Yeah. Like, I love his reaction
Good.
where he finally lets himself not be the proper prim
Right.
man. Like, he's spitting up blood laughing that she shot coin.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
he's just
Because
like, I'll
that's-
die now. I don't give a shit.
Well, and because everything's been thought out, he's either laughing because he didn't expect that, or he's laughing because he expected that.
Right.
And either way, it doesn't matter because he was either surprised and happy with the result, or knew it was happening, or knew it was going to happen, and is also still happy with the result.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was kind of neat. I'm also glad they didn't show any of the restructuring of what happened. They kind of give you the general, and she's the president or whatever. That's cool. I liked her.
Yeah, I think that gave enough.
That's fine. No more politics. Here's a military person going, this is what we're going to do now, and everything's going to be fine.
Mhm.
Because, they wouldn't... I'm glad it wasn't a politician that was in power at the
Right,
end.
Yeah.
right.
Because they wouldn't have used it so much as power.
Yeah, and another subtle thing that they do is when the war is over after the bombings And we get this next scene where Katniss is in the Capitol mansion, whatever. You see it's snowing outside. And we also see that Joanna, who previously had pretty much shaved down hair, now has at least like an inch or so of hair. So you got to assume it's been a month or two. I would say.
Yeah, like since they left District 13
but they do it so subtly. They don't put like 2 months later. You know?
Right. As if it's blah.
Yeah.
It's like, we can tell it's now winter out and Katniss is being walked into the Capitol.
One thing I want to ask is when the Capitol jet drops the bomb.
Right.
I don't remember seeing the Capitol insignia on the jets prior because the Capitol was the only one that had jets.
Right.
I knew it was the rebellion doing that
because they painted it blatantly.
They made it blatant like that so that people would be like, no, it had the Capitol's insignia on
from the Capitol.
And that was something I was like, but also fuck them kids. Fuck it. You're not supposed to say that, but whatever.
No, it's just
I didn't really care at all.
It's just one of those things where that would end a war instantly.
Yeah.
You just carpet bomb
Instantly.
children. They're everybody's gonna be like, I think he's kind of a dick.
We might be on the wrong side.
We might have to rethink.
Yeah, it's such an impactful moment, and then especially when Katniss sees Primrose in there, and then she gets exploded and literally gets lit on fire.
Yep.
Like that's the end of her journey.
And I think it's also when Katniss has that, like in the last, however long this movie was going on, she was willing to die for the cause. But I feel like in that moment is when she like loses any amount of hope, and she's just in this like total shutdown. And you see it after she returns home. She's just depression.
It's just a blank slate of a person.
But so the vote with the Hunger Games thing was another cool moment where Coin is asking them, I think we should have another Hunger Games, get back at the Capitol, blah, 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 blah. And Katniss votes yes, and you don't expect her to vote yes.
That is kind of shocking, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, again, and it's one of those things where even the people who think they're on the right side are still...
have a little wishy-washy.
Yeah, they're
going
still repeating the mistakes of the past.
It was somebody that hasn't been in a Hunger Games trying to start a Hunger Games.
Yeah.
And it's like...
And she's like, well, it'll be a symbolic Hunger Games.
But that wouldn't have been any of their idea.
Right.
But after that idea is presented and they're guaranteed not to be in it, the cynical nature of human nature comes in. It's just like...
Because that's why I'm glad you have a loose cannon like Joanna in that room where she's like, yeah, screw it. Snow's got a granddaughter. Put him in it.
Yeah.
Like, so it's like you get that animosity from the victors,
Yeah,
but
it's
you
too
also...
bad. She had the braided hair, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
she was kind of with it.
But like you don't expect it from Katniss. Like you would think she would be the first one to be like, are you fucking kidding me? We just...
This is why
fought a
we're
rebellion
here.
to end this, and you want to start it up again?
Yeah.
But that's one of those moments where you see that Katniss is thinking about the long game a little bit more than anybody else in the room.
Yeah,
because to me, she kind of agreed so that she could get her shot at her.
Yeah, and like I love...
Oh, you're just like they all are.
Well,
type
and
thing.
I love it's just that quick little scene where she's getting ready, she's in her Mockingjay suit, and she pulls the nightlock pill out, looks at it, you know what she's gonna do, she puts it away, so you're like, oh fuck, she's 100% either gonna die or she's gonna do what she has to do.
Well,
and
she's like, I'm not getting taken again. Or
and like if Peeta didn't stop her, I fully believe she would have been dead on the floor.
Which would have been fine.
Yeah, it would have been.
That would have been fine.
I would have been fine with like a martyr death.
That's how
at the
love
end of
triangles should end. Is one dude, well, both the dudes really sad and the girl's dead.
Yeah,
and, like, that's the way to
Peeta
end
and
it.
Gail can finally kiss.
Then we would have got our gay 2 points of the triangle.
Gita, Gail and Peeta.
Nah, but overall, I avoided these movies because I thought they would suck, and then they didn't.
And now you
kind of
like them.
It's fine. Am I ever gonna watch them again? Probably not.
Would you ever go and watch the prequel?
Probably not.
Okay.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't really have any interest in that. this was a story that is told in completion over 4 movies where none of it felt boring, none of it felt forced, and all of it was plausible.
Yep.
Like they didn't, the third movie, he was unhappy, so he wrote in his contract that he had to have 6 more funny lines. And, because that type of shit happens where it was just like, I really think the people in the movies wanted the story to be told, not so much what they wanted for the story. And, who knows?
Because, like, you could kind of see it like the Finnick actor being like, well, people liked me in the second one. I can't die at the end.
Right. It's like, well, no, that's the story, bud.
Yeah, because, like,
that's where coming from books can either help or hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if they didn't kill off the characters that they killed in the books, people would be like, yeah, well, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What
like,
the
hey,
hell?
how come he made it?
Yeah. But, I mean, then we get our conclusion with Katniss going back home. She is still obviously dealing with the, death of Primrose, and the cat comes in. She screams at the cat, and then she starts crying, and then, she's all sad, whatever. And then the one thing I don't understand is how did Peeta end up back in his house without her noticing, except until he was already working on his garden? You think that's not like the first thing you do when you get back is like, I need to plant flowers in my garden, but whatever.
Well, like, she was out hunting, so like maybe he went and like knocked on the door, and he's like, oh, she doesn't want to talk to me. Maybe if I plant flowers, she'll talk to me.
Right.
Yeah.
That's just
story behind the story.
fortuitous circumstance to
Right.
get that all on camera, but.
And then he gets his moment of, I planted Primrose for you, babe.
Does everyone get it? That's the name of her sister and also a real flower. I found it in my bakery.
It would have been cooler if he did anything like a man.
And
like help in the Hunger Games.
I killed 14 deer for you. Will you marry me now?
And then she'd be like, oh, now you start killing. Now you start killing.
Really?
I killed the whole capital for you.
But I seriously think that, part of it is that he was just there. Part of it is that
That's a lot of it. He's just there.
there.
He's there. He's a consolation prize.
Yeah, part
like
of it.
she has to be with somebody apparently at the end of this, so it might as well be him.
Right. And she already cut ties with Gale, because the other part was that she confronted Gale about the bombings. It was his idea.
Well, that I
sister
knew he wasn't getting laid after
Yeah,
that.
no. Yeah.
He killed her sister.
And she said,
Ain't
goodbye, Gale. So, that was
That's
it.
That's all.
That's all she wrote.
So the only other choice is Peeta. And when you look back on all the movies, you do kind of start to think, I guess she was in love with him the whole time, because she was always so concerned about him. She was always getting emotional over his well-being.
Right.
So it makes sense.
She just didn't know how to express it.
It makes sense, but I still don't like it.
I hate it.
She could have got way better dick from she had 11 other districts to choose from.
Like, I feel like it would have been such a stronger character move to just have her be by herself.
It would have.
Or have the mom, because the mom went like nuts when their dad died or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think it would have been cool if the mom was back home and the cat comes in the room and they're just like all sitting and doing nothing and staring in different directions.
In just like a catatonic state.
Yeah.
Because I feel like after this, there's no fucking way you're going to have any chance at a normal life. Like, the PTSD alone.
Not unless you have a kid, which forces you into a routine of normalcy.
Yeah,
Hello.
and I mean, they clearly show there's a lot of time between when she and Peeta get back together and when they have their second child years later. So I think that's the only way for them to give a happy conclusion is to cut years ahead, because there would have been no happy conclusion immediately after.
But for like a series like this, I don't think you need
No.
happy conclusion.
It's not totally a happy conclusion, because the rest of District 12 is fucked.
Yeah.
So nobody else lives there, so it's just them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, there's that like nuance of the, yes, there is peace, but we've lost so much.
Yep.
We will never truly be where we were.
Whole again.
Yeah.
God,
So we're going to make the best of it by
Yeah.
putting all of our adult trauma into this child that we bring into the world.
You imagine they're just screaming at their kids at the
And
end.
then
from all
they
the
name
trauma.
him they name him Snow.
They name one Thresh and the other one Kato. It's like, you remind me of the bitches.
We
I
have to
killed."
have so many children that we can name everybody that died. They have 14 of them, and the last one's Prim.
Yeah, but it not to quote Lord of the Rings, but it reminds me of
Oh,
that where he's
jeez.
just
Oh,
like, it's like,
jeez.
how could the world go back to normal after so much bad had happened to it? So it's like, yeah, like I don't necessarily think you needed a full on like happy ending because so much bad did happen.
Yeah, but you just
like
wait.
so many people died.
You just wait 2 generations, and then everyone forgets, and then history repeats
And
itself.
then the Hunger
Steve.
Games Part 1 happens again.
Hunger Games Part 7.
Oh,
But
It was-
I do enjoy that they at least give you a character conclusion. You know, they don't just leave you hanging. I think if they left you hanging on Katniss being depressed in her house, you'd be like, that's it? That kind of sucks. So I'm glad that they do something. I don't love that she ends up with Peeta and has kids because it doesn't feel like she's the wanting to have kids type.
Yeah,
But-
she literally says it in the first one.
Yeah. But it at least gives her, it gives them like a symbol to say she is moving on with her life and she's starting her own family. So
Yeah, and I mean,
And she's wearing different clothes. She's sitting in the grass. These are all
Yeah.
things
The
that
sun is
she
shining.
never did.
Well,
yeah, the
and-
sun's out for the
Yeah.
first time in 4 movies.
and it's
Yeah.
and it's also a good character development moment for her, just because she does say in the first one like, oh, I'll never bring kids into this world, but the whole movie series she basically acts like a mother. She is always taking care of Prim, she's always taking care of Peeta, she's always taking care of Gale, so it's like she already has that motherly side to her.
Right.
So like, I guess seeing her with kids at the end, she finally took on the role that she already had.
been
Right.
doing. Yeah.
yeah.
But I don't know. It was for a PG-13 of this kind of subject matter. I thought they did really well with the constraints they had for this type of rating.
Yeah.
I think the camera work and the direction and all those things worked really well. The acting was good enough to make it believable. It didn't fall off a cliff after the first or second movie. So overall, like, I know we don't really do like a rating system or whatever, but like overall, like for a series about this kind of subject matter, it was like they did a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. I will continue to go back and watch these in the future. I said to Steve, because we watched this whole series maybe a month or 2 ago.
Yeah, like literally 2 weeks before we watched
And
the
then-
first one with you.
And then, yeah, we decided, okay, well, if we're going to do an episode, we have to watch them again. So I said, I'm not going to watch The Hunger Games for another couple years. Then I'm like, you know what? Give it 3 months and I'll be watching these
Give it a
again.
business quota. We'll revisit it.
Yeah.
It's definitely a series I like going back to. It's fun enough. It's got a cool like story to it, and you end up liking the characters by the end of it, except Peeta.
And I love a good rebellion movie. Why do you think I love Star Wars so much? So this is, yeah, right up my alley. It's sci-fi. It's got a little action. It's got a little war. It's like something for literally everyone. Tells a good story. You could just watch one of them and be happy. So, yeah, this is a pretty top of the list
Yeah.
for me for good movie series.
But yeah,
We wanted to start the year off with a couple series, and we did it.
yeah.
We did a good one.
But yeah, I think that'll pretty much just wrap it up for our Hunger Games series this past couple weeks.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah, hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully you go check out these movies if you haven't seen them before.
Or
and who knows?
watch them again.
Yeah,
Mm.
go back.
Which
You
is
might have
probably-
missed something in them that you're gonna see this go around. But from all of us here, thank you so much for joining us for the Hunger Games, and we'll catch you guys in 2 weeks for our next movie.
Everybody salute.